Hey everybody, it's BK Outdoors. Welcome to the channel. This is a first for me. This is my first vlog video. And I've been inspired to do so by my friend's old guy on a bike. And yep, it's red. That's Robert and Jim riding in front of me. And they have just completed, or are in the middle of completing, a rolling rock stock. If you want to find out what that is, you can check out their respective YouTube pages for much more in-depth and much more content than what I have on offer here today, as they travel the entire province with their group of Honda ST1100 enthusiasts. But of course, I don't ride on a Honda ST1100, so while I was invited along for this lovely day trip, I was not on the rest of their trip. If you couldn't tell by the front fender and the headlight here, I am riding a 2017 Moto Guzzi V7iii Stone. It's my first motorcycle. In fact, this video is of my very first motorcycle trip. One of the reasons I wanted to document it. We are in Newfoundland and Labrador, Canada, riding the Irish Loop around the Avalon Peninsula. More info on that coming up. But I just wanted to take a moment and thank Old Guy on a Bike and Yep, It's Red for their amazing YouTube video series and getting me inspired for this coming summer in 2023 when I plan to do a lot more videos like this of my travels. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Brian. My last name starts with a K, hence the initials BK. I come from Newfoundland and Labrador, and a common saying here is, when things are great, they're best kind. So the name of this channel derives directly from that. It is best kind when you're outdoors, and here we are. It's BK Outdoors. This channel will have lots of different content coming up. I also ride ATVs off-road. I also like to hike. I also like to fish, things like that. But in the immediate future, I have a lot of footage of me riding my Moto Guzzi. Not a bike you see a lot around these parts. So I thought I'd start right here, inspired by Robert and Jim on their ST1100 exploration adventure, as we ride the Irish Loop together. We're just about to take a pit stop here, gas up, and get ready for what is to be a beautiful day with ever-changing weather, as Newfoundland often delivers. I'll try not to talk too much, but I do want to use this a little bit as an introductory to the rest of the channel, so I'll pipe in every now and then, let you know what's going on. And I hope you enjoy the video. So here we are. We're after riding for about an hour at this point, and we stopped off at the Colony of Avalon, which is an interpretation center in the community of Fairyland. Gorgeous, picturesque community with a lovely beach. The fog was starting to roll in here, so after, I'd say about an hour or so of snacks and taking some drone footage and some photographs, we all packed up and got ready to continue our way. I'm realizing now, watching this footage back, that maybe the front forks where I have this GoPro 7 Black mounted is not the ideal position going forward. I understand that I'm a beginner rider and probably am more twitchy than I should be, but you really see every steering input that I make, including almost narrowly missing that pothole and awkwardly waiting at this non-intersection. The joys of riding in rural Newfoundland. Once we're rolling though, I keep things pretty even keel, and it is an easy ride. These roads are not too demanding. You have to be careful. as the roads are wearing and are aging. And there was a lot of construction that unfortunately I didn't capture on video. We actually did near on 20 kilometers on loose, recently laid down gravel. But for the most part, things are pretty easy going, and the speed limit ranges between 60 kilometers an hour and about 90 is supposed to be tops. So all in all, for a first ride, not too bad. As we leave the community of Fairyland here now, we will head down through Fermuse, Renews, towards Kappa Hayden. And as we do so, the fog will get a little thicker and eventually so thick that I decide to turn the camera off entirely. Jumping ahead now, this footage is coming into the community of Fermuse, which I wanted to highlight as it's where my family roots are from. We have a summer home just off one of the side roads here, and you'll see a lot of content if you stick around on this channel of this area, mostly on ATV, but hopefully on the V7 as well. Like I said at the top of the video, I don't intend on actually narrating this whole thing through, so I'll let you enjoy our trip around the end of the Avalon with just the lovely sounds of the V7. Well, as we come out of the fog here and check our GPSs, there's a couple of confused waypoints. So even though I'm the rookie and this is my first ride, I get called in for the local expertise, being, I think, the only one on this trip who's from the Avalon Peninsula of Newfoundland. I lend some quick advice to Jim, ensure him we are indeed on the right path, and away we go. When we stop just ahead for lunch, we realize that Jim's rear tire is actually down to the cords, and we have to alter our route because the traditional way to get around the Irish Loop is to come back out onto Route 1 and take the Trans-Canada Highway back into town. So once again, my limited knowledge of motorcycle routes in this area is called upon to take us through Holyrood and Conception Bay South to get us back. But here we are now, heading down towards Trepassey, and this is another piece of footage I wanted to include for nostalgic reasons. This is the weather station just past Kappa Hayden. When I was young, my grandparents and my parents would take me here to watch the caribou, and for all I knew, they were domesticated to this weather station. Turns out they were much more plentiful at that time, and the herd has since all but died off, sadly. But it's still a beautiful part of the island, very barren, very bare. But on a motorcycle, that's not so bad. as we get ready to clue up here, I'm just going to loop back and give you some context for what you're watching. The Irish Loop is a 300 kilometer, roughly, give or take, depending on the route you take, loop around the Avalon Peninsula of Newfoundland and Labrador, Canada. It passes through about 24 fishing communities, or rural communities that at least were primarily built around the fishery. These days they could be any sort of industry, farming, forestry, and other trades as well supporting the area. But it's a gorgeous drive through some really, really historic parts of the province. Now, coming up, unfortunately, before we get around to the west side of the loop, we're about to take lunch at pretty much the southern point in Trepassey. And just before we get there, my GoPro batteries die. So this is all I'm going to be able to show you for this particular trip. But of course, lessons learned and extra batteries and maybe even USB charging stations will be present in the next videos. Thanks so much again for watching, and hit that like and subscribe button if you don't mind. I'd love to be able to grow this channel and show you more of my beautiful home province of Newfoundland Labrador, as well as some of the branching out I plan to do in Atlantic and other parts of Canada. Thanks very much for watching, and enjoy the end of the ride.